with Sticitt today. We're going to be speaking to you today about D6 Pay and how it's powered by Sticitt and how it works within our ecosystem of products that we offer. So I'm very excited to actually be here today and to share these things with you. Willem and Theo, who are both from the various companies, Willem from D6 and Theo from Sticitt, will be sharing with us and talking about exactly how it works. So if we can just quickly go to the run of the day. We've got just a short introduction, and then we're going to speak about what is D6 Pay. So you might already be using some part of this cashless or payment solution within your school. However, there's lots that you might not know about that they actually do also offer. So we'll speak about how D6 and Sticitt work together, and then also how it works within the app, what school in-app commerce is all about, and then also what the on-campus solution is. And then Sticitt will be sharing their story and what they're doing in schools and what they're doing for our learners. And then we'll have some time for questions. There's a question box that you can use to ask the various questions that you might have. And we'll give an opportunity at the end where they will then answer. So yeah, we're looking forward to having a good day together. I think one thing that's really important today is to consider this quote by Thomas Edison, which is, if there's a way to do it better, you must find it. School fees and the collection thereof is really, really one of the most important drivers for financial sustainability within a school. And we want to help you to find various ways to be able to collect much better and more efficiently, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to ensure that your school is still in the mix in the coming years. So yeah, that's really what our heart and what our intention is with this. We want to talk about payment transformation, and what that really entails is the fact that we want to create safer schools. We want to make sure that cash is eradicated from the campus, because it does pose a big risk security-wise for your staff and your learners. We want to ensure seamless collection, so we want to take all the hurdles out of the way to ensure that parents can pay easily. We want to make it as convenient as possible. These days, everything is about convenience. If you look at Checkers, Pick n Pay ASAP, Superbalist, everything's online. It's very easy to pay. So why are we still trying to get R5 for Cities Day that the parents need to actually go and draw money, find change, and then pay it in at the teacher? And then obviously the growth in funds is really what's very important and what this transformation will lead to. So a lot of our schools that are using D6 Pay effectively report a 40% increase in payments and collections. So yeah, we're really, really excited and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Cool, thanks Donata, and good morning everyone. I don't have the tally here. How many people are online at the moment?
50.
Yeah, okay, so morning to everyone that joined us, and thanks for joining. Maybe before I jump in, so I'm Willem, that's Stu, for those that do not know. I know we've been introduced. I don't know whether you showed who we are, but it's a pleasure for us and an honor for us to be speaking to you this morning. Before I go into what is D6 Pay, I think maybe just firstly from a D6 philosophy, we understand the complexities that you guys are struggling with on a daily basis. We also know that schools are, in most cases, more complex organizations to run than most SMMEs, so small to medium-sized enterprises in any country. And just to put it in perspective, and I think you guys obviously know it better than we do actually, but I think from a school perspective, there's a large staff complement that must be managed. It's infrastructure that must be managed. It's a very, very complex product that must be managed. It's very difficult budgets and big budgets that needs to be managed, whether it's from an expense perspective and income and debtors management. And then it's probably the most complex customer base in the world, which is a parent and a child. So, and the interesting thing is we expect these schools and the way that everyone operates within the market to be well-oiled machines, but in our view, there is not enough emphasis being placed on management and leadership and technology that empowers management and leadership within the school space to actually flourish. We just attended a conference in Ethiopia, which is called Innovation Africa. And there, all ministries of all African countries came together discussing how to solve education. And everyone was talking about infrastructure on the one side, so physical assets and physical school infrastructure and connectivity from an infrastructure perspective. And then everyone was talking about how to solve learning delivery, whether it's pedagogy or technologies utilized in classroom, but no one spoke about management and leadership and the technology being used by schools to manage this organization well. And funny enough, if we flip it around and talk about how business normally operates, the first thing they need to do is to ensure that there's good leadership and good management and good technology to support them in order to ensure that they build a foundation on which quality learning can be built on. And it was sort of frustrating on the one side, but also exciting in terms of opportunity, is the not disregard, but the lack of focus in terms of ensuring that there's good leadership and management and technology supporting that in schools. And I think that's what we, from a DSIC perspective, that is our passion, and that we would like to drive and improve. And payments is just a portion of this whole complex management structure. It was interesting at some of the events that we've also attended. Collections is a major challenge within schools, both on the school fee side, but also for small events taking place on campus collections, and just managing cash in its entirety is always a challenge that schools face. And I know from a bursar perspective, that's something which you guys, I suppose most of you would probably raise your hand to say that is a challenge for you guys. So in terms of D6 Pay, maybe just firstly, full disclosure, Theo is my brother. So for those that do not know, we are a family. So I think that the benefit of that is we can keep each other accountable in terms of delivery and providing good service to you guys. And if you talk to me, know that you will also know about it, because I will put pressure on him and vice versa. So I think there's a good sense of accountability, both from a corporate perspective, but also more from an emotional and family perspective.
Bluma, I do want to interrupt you just very quickly. If we can somewhere do a poll to ask who do they think is the oldest one, the oldest brother. In any case, that'll be a nice insight for me.
So D6 Pay, within D6, what we've done is we want to ensure that from a management perspective, if you turn a school around, everything from a technology perspective that falls out, we will be able to either cater in our own right from a product perspective, or we'll get partners in the market to do so. Some of you might know, but we provide a full cloud-based school management suite of products, which is admin, curriculum, finance, communication, and we've added a couple of new products which we'll be introducing soon, and that we've got webinars coming up. But the payment aspect has always been something which has been sort of intertwined into our technology. And I think from a market perception perspective, everyone thought that I need to utilize D6 Finance in order to utilize our payments capability, or I need to utilize D6 Communication in order to utilize the payment capability. And what we've realized was sometimes a need from a school is, I just want to facilitate payments. So don't try and also give me communication and also this and also that. Just give me payments so that I can facilitate payments more effectively. And that's exactly what we've done. So we've launched D6 Pay with the core intent of providing the ability for schools to only utilize our payment capability where that is the only thing that they want. But there's also the ability for our payments to integrate within all our other products, including communication and finance. So I think the false perception sometimes in the market that you need to utilize other products of D6 in order to utilize D6 Pay is not correct. And that's exactly why we've launched D6 Pay as a separate product, in order to support bursars, to ensure that they can better equip and better facilitate payments between parents and schools. But also what Sticitt will be elaborating on is the on-campus payments. So maybe just where D6 and Sticitt work together is, as I've mentioned, if you turn the school around, all technology that falls out, we want to ensure that we cater for that, either in our own right or in partnership. And I think one thing that we've asked ourselves over the last year or two or three is, it's always interesting to ask, what are you doing? But it's sometimes more interesting to ask, what are you not? And I think that's something which we are very adamant about, is what we do not want to focus on, because the more stuff we try to do, the more diluted our efficiency and quality will become. So I think within D6, we want to focus on a very specific scope of products that we offer in the market. But then anything apart from that, we'd rather want to go and look for the best partners in the market. So to ensure that when a school utilizes D6, we know that our ecosystem of partners that we onboard, in our view, are the best partners that's available from a service delivery perspective. In order to ensure that, obviously, if we bring someone into this environment that we're trying to build, we want to make sure that they provide the best service to you guys from a school perspective. So our partnership with Sticitt has been coming for since 2018, I think. And then COVID hit, which was sort of nothing happened then. Interesting. But it's been a very long partnership. Sticitt is very intertwined into our environment. They're intertwined into all aspects of D6, primarily from a product perspective in terms of interoperability, and that's an important thing. Schools still utilize multiple different platforms. It could be anything between 5 and 10 different pieces of technology that they use, and nothing integrates with each other. So if anything changes on a learner perspective, it needs to be duplicated across the entire all the other platforms, and there's always data inaccuracies. So the reason why we've partnered so heavily with Sticitt is to ensure that the payment space, although it can be utilized as a separate standalone payments offering, and that schools can utilize, it is also automatically integrated into our communication environment, meaning if parents utilize the communication platform and schools utilize the communication platform, if they activate payments, it is already facilitated within the environment that the school and parents are already using. So it's not something else that you need to go and do. Sticitt is also very much involved in our operational construct. So everything from a sales perspective, customer success, which is the most important thing, to ensure that from a service delivery perspective, that we work together to ensure that the service we provide you as a school is of high quality. But we will never be perfect, and we will make mistakes. And I think that's where partnerships are sort of important, that we will always strive to be better. We will take it on the chin if we're wrong, and we'll try to improve on that. So we're fortunate and happy for the partnership with Sticitt. And I think an important thing on partnership is a company's purpose is something which creates longevity within a company, and that creates sort of the long-term sustainability and also the excitement for why people do what they do. Sometimes if you truly believe in what you do and what you're trying to achieve, then hard work becomes fun and not a mental drag. And I think purpose within our partners that we select is an important thing to ensure that there's an actual intent in terms of why people want to improve and help schools to be better. And I think we share that fundamental truth between ourselves and Sticitt in terms of supporting schools, because we believe schools are the center of any community. And if schools flourish, the community flourish. But then also vice versa. If the schools do not flourish and are not doing well, the community also at large struggle. And I think our ability to positively influence the world is through schools with the services that we provide, in order to ensure that over time we can improve the way that schools operate, and in such influence community in a positive way. So yeah.
But just on that, I think it's often people underestimate the importance that school play in making sure that we have got healthy communities and that we do set up our kids for the best opportunity going forward, so that they can go and pursue their own purpose and what they are passionate about. And with regards to how we work together, I enjoy how the discussion it's becoming less and less about product and practically what do we need to change from a feature set perspective, and more about what do we need to do daily to pull people into the discussion to make sure that we can actually support these schools better, and that we can do whatever we can to take some of the strain off of the school ecosystem to make sure that the kids have got the best chance of actually succeeding. And you spoke briefly about the accountability component, and yesterday, only at the end of the discussion, we touched on it, but what we've really enjoyed and what we're super thankful for is how often we keep each other accountable when it comes to practically implementing some of these tools within the school audience to make sure that they get the value from the solution, what we solve in the first place. And I really enjoy that because I often think in today's market, there's very much sort of let's sell something, let's put something into the market. But the amount of effort we spend to make sure that the schools and the customers actually gets the value from it is often left behind. And I think that's really, we're really thankful for that, and you guys keeping us honest and accountable. And I mean, obviously, we try and do that as much as we possibly can as well.
Maybe something which is also important, and I think we, from a D6 perspective, and I'll sort of raise my hand saying we've made a mistake in the past, is we had a philosophy way back in terms of when we developed product was to that philosophy of build it and they will come. So I've got a cool idea and then build technology and then hope the market will latch onto that technology. And I think especially in the school space, that's why so many people struggle to provide any valuable services to schools, because they don't really understand the problem. They don't understand the people utilizing the technology well enough in order to define how to solve it and then to build product in order to solve that problem. And I think over the last year or two, we fundamentally changed our approach in terms of how to develop product. And that's also in partnership with Sticitt to truly understand what is the actual problem that you guys are facing, and that's the bursars, the parents, the learners, staff members, other staff members at schools, to understand the personas very well in terms of why do they struggle with their daily tasks, and then decide how to structure products around solving that the problem, as opposed to just building cool stuff. Because it was funny, building cool stuff is the easy part. The real challenge is to truly understand your problem and your need in order to solve that through technology that we built. And that's actually where the challenge is. Just to build cool stuff is easy. I mean, Sticitt can attest to that. I mean, it's an incredibly complex environment. And if you don't really understand the person that you're solving the problem for and understand their issues, and then decide how to design product around it, you'll never really solve the problem. And you're just going to dump products into the market that is not really going to add any value. So yeah, anyway, enough on the partnership. So how does it work within our app? So I did mention that D6 Space, obviously something that can be utilized as a separate product. You don't need to utilize the communication platform, but the D6 Communicator application that we've got on the market is also our payments application. So you don't have to download a separate application. The benefit is you just download the same application and you can manage all payments within the app. So schools have the ability to request payments from the D6 Pay backend, and then ask parents to pay either once off or itemized or open items, meaning they can pay whatever they want, or partial payments, or any payment type that we need to be able to facilitate. But the benefit from a payments perspective is the schools can still manage the groups in terms of who they need to request the payments from, whether it's grades or subjects or sports or the entire school. So from a philosophical perspective, a payment request is actually just another form of communication that is being sent to parents with the request of receiving something back. So if you communicate something to your parents and you need to communicate something to the grade 3s, or I don't know, the hockey team that goes on a field trip, you first need to know who the people are that you need to actually send this payment request to. And then you can send it to them through the application on which they can actually facilitate the payment. And where Sticitt comes in is the entire payment ecosystem is a very regulated environment. And that's something which D6 don't really want to focus on. So Sticitt is our partner for ensuring that the facilitation of all the payments and the transfer and flow of money is all aligned with the required regulation, whether it's Reserve Bank regulations that are being put up or whatever the banks require. So Sticitt takes care of all of that stuff. And it means that we can focus on what we need to focus on while they can focus on what they need to do, in order to ensure that at the end of the day, we provide you guys with the best possible product that we can come up with. So the benefit of having the payments in our application is you don't need other applications also. So payments is integrated into our communication environment. So for the schools that utilize our comms platform, you can just activate payments and then start facilitating payments through the platform. If you also utilize our finance module, the benefit there is payments is automatically reconciled into the finance environment. So no need for these multiple levels of reconciliations that needs to happen. Everything is automated, and I think that's sort of our intent, is to ensure that we provide a holistic ecosystem that things talk to each other. Because I mean, Sticitt has been working with schools from a reconciliation perspective a lot, and funny enough, there's a lot of people that sort of offer school payment solutions in the market, but I think where a lot of the Afrikaans saying pap op die grond val is where the reconciliation challenges that schools have, in order to actually know who has paid, who has not paid. And then schools use multiple different payment platforms and payment methods. And then the bursars, those that have joined the session, you guys know the pain that we're referring to. So we've tried to consolidate everything into a single environment and utilize the same application so that you don't have to force parents to download something else. So maybe just an example in our application, how easy it is to facilitate the payment. There was a piece of communication sent out with a hearty cake that you can order with roses, and a donation to be made and a dinner for two. And there the person has selected the relevant stuff, including itemized, go to their the payment screen, select their Sticitt wallet, and pay is done. So that's how quick it is for a school, well, for the parents to pay, and all it took from a school perspective is just to load the communication and send it out to the parents. That's sort of just to showcase how simplistic it is, and the benefit is you can also go and view your historic payments. You can you can download your receipt for those specific payments that you've made, from a parent perspective. So everything is just so much easier. I mean, the school my kids go to don't use it, which is for me quite a frustration, but anyway. But I know my wife had to send, I think, 12.50 or 15 rand or something to the school the other day. It's just like, man, oh man, feels like 1960s. But anyway, so if you don't have to struggle, why do you continue struggling? If there's solutions that can actually solve that problem for you. Other cool thing that we have also launched, and I've said cool products, understanding the need within the school space where there's a lot of commercial requirements for schools to connect their parents with something that they need to buy, whether it's clothing or tuck shop or stationery or events or I don't know what else. I think those are probably the main ones, the four primary ones. And what normally happens is schools will, these four areas of commerce is also something which is then sent to parents as something on the side that they need to go and procure. So what we try to do is the solve that we wanted to get to is to ensure that within D6, parents can also access certain commerce sites or commerce environments, whether they need to procure for stationery or tuck shops or the school's clothing store, or what do you call it? Is it clothing store? Anyway, clothing store.
Merchandising or clothing store.
Yeah, so pretty much anything that the school would like to expose to their parents, whether it's their own products or whether it's external parties providing services for the school to their parents, those commercial environments can reside within D6, meaning that parents can still utilize the D6 environment to receive information, to make payments, but then also to procure on whether it's tuck shops or clothing, as mentioned before. But everything resides within D6, and the benefit is the parents also then have the ability to utilize Sticitt in order to buy the stuff. So the same Sticitt wallet or Sticitt environment that they would have utilized to pay for school fees or service days or anything that the parent would have facilitated, they can also do within our application from a commercial perspective, what we refer to as web tabs, where we link the suppliers to the specific environment, but the schools must obviously approve. It's not something which we're just going to blast to all parents. We want to partner with the school, and you guys are always our primary focus to ensure that we make your lives easier. So we're quite excited about the commerce environment that we've added, and one could also almost perceive it as a small marketplace for the school where they can link stuff. We have Sticitt has developed their own store, meaning that the school can actually go and upload a whole bunch of items that can be bought by parents with limitations in terms of quantity and also price. And that store is then linked within your D6 environment so that if a parent clicks on the store, they'll go to the school store. And there the school can pretty much list anything. We've also partnered with WebbyShop, which is a bit more advanced commerce site that schools can actually utilize and then load pictures. And as you can see there in the screenshot, it's a bit more advanced for schools that actually would like to run more advanced commercial offerings to their parents. But the important thing is everything resides within D6 to allow parents to go to one place and then access everything. So that's sort of something which we've recently, or probably about 6 months ago, or a bit more, launched. We're quite excited to again support you guys to be more effective in terms of how you collect fees. And then on campus, I'm going to pass this onto Q, which is something that is also a massive burden in terms of cash management from a bursar perspective, frustrations from a parent perspective to send cash, from risk and frustration from a learner perspective to utilize cash. So cash is just something which should be eradicated in its entirety on school campus. And I think that's what Sticitt is also primarily focusing on in order to facilitate that. So I'm going to pass over.
Cool. Thanks, Willem. I'm going to do a bit of a check to see who is whose attention do we actually have online in the audience. So before I jump into the next couple of slides, the first question that I want to ask in preparation for something a little bit later on is, when it comes to tuck shops, within our school audience, who makes use of an internal tuck shop, so effectively run by the school, and who makes use of an external tuck shop? So we'll put a poll up in the session, and we'd appreciate it if everyone can just quickly go and give us an indication of that. Does it seem like we've at least got a couple of participants that's engaged and active in the session?
It's currently 50-50.
50-50.
Internal and external, yeah.
How many responses do we have?
25.
25. Okay, so we've still got about...
It's growing, just give 2 seconds.
We do have about 60 people on the call, right? So we're gonna get everyone onto this. Slow clap.
Okay,
So
we're
we're
currently 61% internally, 39. There it changes. It's about 60-40. Internally 60, externally 40
Okay.
on the current stats.
And now the fun part starts, is whoever didn't answer in this poll, you have to now answer the second question, which is a lot tougher. So we'll still give 10 seconds if you want to participate here. Otherwise, you're going to be passed to the next one. Okay, so next question is going to come up, and we had how many people that didn't respond on this first poll?
40 compared to 66, so we're
Okay.
still 26.
Shame, but I mean, don't worry, we won't force you to do anything you don't necessarily want to. But the second question I want to ask is, in one sentence, really nothing more than one sentence, what is your understanding of what Sticitt actually, what we actually as a business do? So I mean, we now discussed what we in the D6 world and payments, but very basically, when people tell you and ask you Sticitt, what is it that you actually think of? And it's completely fine if you say, listen, I don't even know Sticitt. The only thing I know is payments and D6. That's also okay, not a problem.
Are you going to launch the
They must answer in the chat because the polls you can't.
Obviously, yes.
Okay.
In the chat.
Okay, so in the chat.
Because everyone's going to be exposed in terms of what they say.
We just need to get we need to get one response.
Payments and D6.
Payments and D6. Okay, that's actually good
Payments
because
and cashless payments.
got it.
Same as pay fast.
That's actually an interesting one.
Okay, well, this is interesting insights. Yeah, cool.
So, but if you can maybe jump to the next slide. So, the actual reason why Sticitt exists is, for us, it's all about how do we make sure that we truly empower future generations. And that means every young kid of today, through simple money tools that we deploy in the school environment, that we deploy into families, and that we support other ecosystem partners within the school space for. So that's something that we actually struggle with. Is often we are seen as just someone that we provide cashless solution for schools, or someone sees us as we are just a payment platform in D6. But our intent is much bigger than that, that we truly want to make sure that this generation is properly equipped to deal with money and confident with money matters, so that they are ultimately confident in life. And Willem, I mean, if we almost go back like 4 slides, you don't really have to go back, but that's really where our partnership also for us is so valuable. Is D6's intent is how do we drive more efficient schools, and why it's so important for us that we've jumped onto your bandwagon is if you can help drive more efficient schools and we can support the kids a little bit more directly with their money matters and to be confident in life with their money matters, then I think that combo really makes for an exciting future and really makes for an exciting space where kids of tomorrow will build us a better world. So I think I wanted to make sure that people understand sort of the context of Sticitt and what we're truly all about is not just the cashless solution provider or a payment platform in D6. I think there's quite a bit more to it.
But maybe just interesting. So thinking about it, I mean, way back we still used cash. Now learners don't use cash at all. So the perception of it's free. It's like a holiday that you've paid up front. If you go on holiday, it's free because you paid it a long time ago. But now they use something, and this something just buys them stuff, and they've got no perception of I've got this, now I'm giving it away, now I only have this, because they don't see it.
No, I mean it's getting worse with these things that you just, or with your watches, you double tap, it scans your face and you pay. You never actually considered what's really happening, and that really speaks to why we wanted to make sure that we need to be a lot more deliberate as parents, as providers to schools, and even supporting schools as well to be a little bit more aware of it, that there's a responsibility to make sure kids understand what healthy money habits mean, because otherwise it can truly get them into trouble. Because the pace at which the current industry is moving is often making it difficult for people to just take a step back and say, yes, I mean, I'm getting 25 SMSs a day that tries to get another unsecured loan to buy something that I don't need, or there's a new payment app that makes it super easy for you to just go and pay something and buy at a store. So it's making it easier and easier for us to spend on stuff that we don't actually need. So we were just like, listen, let's maybe take a step back and ensure that we can help schools and we can help parents better equip the kids to ask the right questions and better equip the kids to think a little bit more deeply around how do they need to approach life and how do they need to approach money matters. But thanks, Willem, that's the fact that something we also often get is when we engage with parents, the first response generally to our money tools, which we'll get into a bit later, is, you know what, I need to give my kid cash because that's how I can teach them value. And then our question is just always, well, they will never ever in their life deal with physical cash, most likely. So you're teaching your kid something that they will absolutely never ever use because people don't use cash anymore. Everything's been digitized. So we just want to lift the game to say, well, how do we teach kids in that world still to have healthy money habits? You don't need to do this old school cash thing because that's not really going to be relevant for most of them in their life.
I think on one of the curriculums and one of the subjects in schools, they still taught kids about checks.
Yes, a checkbook.
Man.
I wonder actually how many people. I mean, I can't even remember how a checkbook works. But in any case, so back to the on-campus question, and before I jump into the story that that everyone will get another 2 minutes where they can just sit back and listen a little bit again, is on campus for us speaks to, you covered a lot of the payments within the D6 world between a parent and a school. And that's often where the problems starts for schools, when they say, I've got cities days, or I've got school events, or I've got school outings or fundraisers. What other platform can I use to just simplify those payments? And there are a couple of options that have started popping up all across the market already. But what we from day one said is the way that you solve that needs to be in a way that also drives more effective communication between the school and the parents. You don't want to go and put another app down exactly like you said. So what we really loved about the D6 approach was we can partner with you on that front to make sure that not only can schools effectively communicate on the platform with parents, but as part of that communication, they can also seamlessly now collect funds. So the more they can do on their fund collection side, the more it reinforces more effective communication as well. And that's a very positive feedback cycle that you want to create at a school. And that's completely different to the other players in the market. There's a lot of other players that just provides, in their own right, a good product, but it doesn't reinforce good communication between the school and parents. So that for us was really good, but that's really only part of the problem, or actually part of the opportunity to better support schools is there's a lot of transactions and payment activity happening on the campus itself. That's got nothing to do with a parent paying something in the app to the school. And that speaks to the tuck shops, where the tuck shop question a little bit earlier came in. It speaks to payments at the clothing store. It speaks to payments for market days that the kids often have to do. It speaks to how do you handle payments at sports events where there's not just the kids and the parents of the school there, but visiting schools and visiting kids. How do you run payments on the campus in those scenarios? How do you run payments at your admin office? So there are all these other different points of payments that pops up within the school space that creates a lot of complexity on the school side. I'm sure all the bursars and the finance administrators in the audience can attest to that. But it also creates a lot of friction and frustration on the parents and the kids side, right? Because you pay in this app for some of the school fees, but you also need to remember to give your kid a bank card because they're going to visit a school and hopefully they've got a Yoko device there. Or you need to give them in some other closed loop solution a card that they need to go and transact on campus because this school uses this type of solution. So it just doesn't work really well. And when we talk about on campus, that's what we're talking about, solving all of those pain points so that schools can manage all of those other different payment infrastructure points in a way that it makes it easier for the kids, easier for the parents, and makes the administration and the reporting work less so on the school side. So that's sort of like the whole on-campus world. And we brought a couple of examples here today. I know the screen is a bit difficult. Some people will see me now, and some people will just see the presentation. But I mean, there's a lot of bits and pieces of infrastructure that we provide. It's from open loop cards, Visa and MasterCard, this little Sticitt card, to closed loop options, to our payment terminals that covers Visa and MasterCard, to bands. And I actually don't even want to talk about this because that's not what you referred to earlier as all the product stuff. Okay, so we've got all the product stuff, but the important thing is how do we deploy that into your school environment that ultimately makes you as a school more efficient and that better supports the parents and the kids. And that brings me into the story of Anna. So
maybe just before you go in there, I think it's from an effectiveness perspective, but also risk management for schools. I mean, you guys know the cookie jar or the ice cream box full of money. We did a bit of an assessment on cash on campus that schools still have, and I think the average was between 70,000 to 120,000 rand that schools have on campus at any given time. It's just, it shouldn't be there because it's a massive risk for either loss of cash or theft, or people coming in externally and taking it, or just the cost of that to bank it is also very expensive. So managing cash is something which in this day and age, you don't have to do it. So technically there should be no cash on campus. Just to add to what you just mentioned.
Willem, you just raised an interesting thought for me is we have found though that probably you would have 30 or 35% of the school audience here today will say, but hey, I'm cashless. And then when you start asking the questions, you realize, well, it's easy if you force everyone to make use of EFTs, or when you have got a bank card machine at your admin office, you can actually go cashless, but you're not really solving the problem of collecting more funds, reducing administration, and making it more convenient for your parents. And it's an important point because it's the game is sort of like moved on. Not having cash on school grounds is almost like an order qualifier in my world to say, listen, if you're still using cash, that's really, really not good. I mean, we don't even have to go into the risk components and the insurance and the cost and those sort of things. But where we've, together with you guys, have leveled up the game is, even if you are cashless already, there are so many inefficiencies still applicable in your school campus that you need to think about that we would love to help you improve on, because it will help you collect more funds from your parent audience, reduce administration work in the finance and the business offices, and delight your parents and your kids. And we're going to get to the story of Anna now, what it's all about. But thanks for that. I mean, that often happens is you talk about cashless and they're like, no, but we are cashless. It's like, yeah, but that's not really what the game is all about.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone settle into your seat. Stop the meeting that you are having on the other tab.
We're about to take off.
We're about to take off. So the easiest way, or what we would really love to do today, if you can remember one thing, is try and remember elements of the story of Anna that we want to talk about today, because that's why we as a business at least exist, and why we enjoy this partnership with D6 so much, because that's ultimately who we want to support here. Okay, so let's jump into Anna. Anna is a curious and confident girl, all made possible through Anna's school and her thriving school community, specifically the parents, the school staff, and third-party vendors working with the school, like the tuck shop. Anna's parents have peace of mind because they never worry about giving Anna cash or a bank card for tuck shop money or any other payments that Anna needs to make on school campus. With Sticitt money, they seamlessly top up Anna's account, track her spend, earn rewards, and ready her to take control of her own money matters going forward. This is exactly what Anna needs to start and end each day on a positive note. When Anna gets to school in the mornings, she is greeted by the friendly Mrs. Karen. See, at Anna's school, the staff wastes no time managing cash or making sense of bank statements and card machine receipts. Sticitt's payment options cover all the different ways parents and learners pay at Anna's school, from market day sales to ticket sales to payments in the admin office, all covered and reconciled seamlessly. Staff at Anna's school have time to support Anna to learn as much as she can. Anna's on an absolute roll and just needs a snack from the tuck shop to fuel her for the rest of the day. Luckily, the tuck shop also makes use of Sticitt. That means no queues during break due to slow cash and biometrics-based payments. With Sticitt, Anna can order online, or she can pay with a card or band with a quick tap to get her back learning. Anna and the school economy are thriving. The best thing about all of this is with every transaction, Anna and the community helps the school to build a better environment for the kids to learn. Through Sticitt's extensive payment options and third-party integrations, Anna's school improved their revenue collection, enabling the school to invest in better equipment and overall an improved, more efficient, safer, and cash-free school campus. Parents, third parties, and staff all working better together to give Anna the best opportunity to learn and grow every day. The best thing about it all is every time that Anna's parents gives her money, or every time that Anna performs a transaction, she's practicing and embedding Sticitt's 6 money habits. She's learning to earn, she's learning to value, she's learning to budget, save, invest, and share every day, creating healthy financial habits that will last her a lifetime. As Anna builds confidence with money, she'll build confidence for life, all kickstarted by her thriving school community. So that's what we're all about, to help schools, to help parents, to help staff and third-party vendors in making sure we have more stories like Anna, to build a better future for the whole community. It just takes one decision for Anna's story to be the story of your school. And often it's as I read through the story, I sort of get like sidetracked because I know you've also got 3 kids. I don't know if that was opted in by yourself. I mean, I asked myself the same question, but I often just think about a lot of these elements with my kids starting to go to school is I would honestly love if we can look back in 10 to 15 years time and we can say, you know what, we actually helped our school where our kids are going to create this sort of an idea and that we've got examples of where our kids are the story of ever. And we've got confident kids, confident with the complexities of life and the challenges that they'll face. I don't only have to talk about AI in this session. I think you'll probably have webinars on that and how schools need to navigate that. But yeah, it's gets me really committed and passionate to try and make sure we get this done. Okay, and then maybe as a last thought, and one misnomer and a last thought that I just want to cover on that story is the two things that often pops up in our discussions with schools when it comes to how we are trying to create stories like Anna and how we support the schools with the on-campus payments is we often get the question of, hey, but you guys aren't backed by a bank. Some of the other players are quite explicitly backed by some of the banking institutions. And for what's almost like, well, it's not frustrating, is we actually work with most of the banks in South Africa. So we've got 2 of the big 5 banks that sponsors us from a regulatory point of view. We have to adhere to all of the regulations that you made reference to. There are other industry certifications and industry security guidelines that we need to adhere to. So there's a whole list of things that we can tick off to make sure that ultimately funds within our environment, it's completely safe. But the reason why we never partnered with a specific institution from a brand perspective is what we just really felt very strong that we need to keep those relationships arm's length. The regulatory space is very clear. It's not that you can do what we do without aligning to all of those requirements. And we would also like to make sure that we can work with the best banking institutions out there that can ultimately help us fulfill our dreams and better support you in making schools more efficient. So we kept it arm's length, but the fact that we don't have a banking brand associated with our brand does not mean that we are any less secure than any of the other players out there. And then secondly,
but important, just so the linking to a bank is just the branding play. It's like supported by whoever. It doesn't mean anything. The registration and regulatory space in terms of complying with that, that's what's important. Whether you showcase it as a brand representation doesn't really mean anything. It's the underlying stuff that one needs to adhere to, which is obviously the important stuff that you guys do.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have, if you think about the risk that we from a D6 perspective have across all our schools and parents in partnering with someone that is like, we would never do that. So we had to make sure that they've got their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
But that's also where the partnership is important, because that is such a complex environment. And that's why for Sticitt to move into any new country, the regulatory space that they need to comply with is the financial regulations are so much, it's so big that we don't understand it and we don't want to worry about it. And that's why we partner with Sticitt, because we know that they've got it covered and we can do what we do, they do what they do. But in partnership, we create product interoperability that works for you guys.
But the last one is we also often get the question, that's why I asked who's got internal and who's got external tuck shops, is schools will often tell us, hey, but yes, they would love to create this environment for their kids and sort of have this efficient campus and cashless campus, but their tuck shop is external and it's got absolutely nothing to do with it. And that's all really good and well, but most of our customers, when it comes to clothing stores and tuck shops, are external vendors. It's got nothing to do with the school. So the fact that the tuck shop or any other vendor for that matter that operates within your school environment is external and not part of the school doesn't impact their ability to also form part of our ecosystem and our world to make sure that we can better serve the kids and the parents. And that helps us to build those thriving little ecosystems and economies within the school space that better supports the school. So that's not a problem. If you've got external vendors operating within your campus environment, we work with them and we want to work with them. So those are sort of like 2 things that I just wanted to immediately put out there that everyone is just fully aware of it. Those 2 things should not prevent you or prohibit you from working with us collectively to drive these sort of outcomes that we've talked about now in the session.
But maybe also, I think practically, let's take a derby day where there's, between 2 schools or 10 schools coming together. And there's this massive environment that there's, 5,000 people, and there's sports going around, and there's all of these, what do you call them? Stalletjies. Stalls. That is also a complex environment to manage payments and for the schools to actually have visibility in terms of what happened where. And that's an example of where Sticitt can easily facilitate adding multiple vendors in this space, so that when the learners can just go and tap and pay when they procure stuff, parents can manage all the money in their D6 or Sticitt environment. The schools have full visibility and control over which merchants are registered, and what the spending was at those relevant merchants. Other small stupid example is Entrepreneursdag. I mean, that's still managing cash. I know that when we've got Entrepreneursdag at our school, it's like taking £5 or £10. And I know for the kids it might be fun, but the cash management is something which is going to be completely eradicated. So the earlier we get them used to this non-cash related environment, each of these entrepreneurs could also have their own sort of, and then tap and see what they make. So, I mean, practically there's so many cool things that one can do within this ecosystem. The most important thing that we've been lacking on is to inform you guys appropriately in terms of what it actually does, and that's sort of in partnership with them. I mean, just if we look at what the perception was in terms of what Sticitt does, that's what the market thinks, and that's our responsibility to help you guys to know better, so that we can help you to utilize better, that you can be better. So that's something which we need to improve on.
But 2 examples that do we still have some time? 2 examples that we really love. That it's sort of, one is on the market day element, and the other one was on a sporting day example. Is when we just started, the running a cashless event was sort of like the holy grail of, wow, it would be really cool if you can even do these sporting events without ever having cash. But that was often kind of complex, and schools more than often ended up getting a specific provider to help for that day. Okay, and they had to do parent communication, they had to do merchant onboarding, they had to do staff training, they had to operationally plan this thing, they needed to get support from these third parties to come and help them for that day. It was kind of expensive and really a mission just to get everyone comfortable with how this is going to work. And it was about a month or so ago when one of our schools, they just sort of by the by reached out one day to one of our school success agents, and they said they just need a couple of more payment terminals because they've got a sporting day that's coming up. And long story short, it was a sporting day that consisted of external schools visiting the specific school. They had external vendors operating there on the day. And with us having worked with the school now for the last 3 or so years, they've already started using our on-campus payment infrastructure and payment terminals to accept payments at the admin office. The tuck shop started using our e-commerce store and our on-campus payment terminals with our closed-loop cards and bands. A lot of the third parties, having heard of this, they have already onboarded and opened up merchant accounts so that they can also accept payments on the Sticitt infrastructure. So by the time that the sporting event came, for them it was just an extension of how they operate in their campus in any event to run a full cashless event. They didn't have to get parents on board, they didn't have to get merchants on board, they didn't have to figure out how new payment terminals and payment infrastructure works on the day. They didn't have to figure out after the fact how they're going to now report which stall sold what so that they can invoice those third parties for their revenue share that the school makes. They didn't have to go through any of that because that's just how they ran their school. And running a full-on cashless event was just a natural extension of what they in any case do. And that was like a very cool moment. Like, that is what we wanted to do from the beginning. And we just had our first school that actually did that. And then the second one that was also really cool is there was a query around one of our how our QR payments work. So I mean, over and about the terminal, we've also got dynamic and static QR codes. As I said, we've got all the bells and whistles when it comes to payment infrastructure. But they had a query about, listen, it's QR codes, the referencing, and the person, the finance administration office asked us a couple of questions. And we were like, well, I mean, it's a cool question, but what are you actually doing here? Like, what's going on? Our school success agent asked again. And long story short, they were doing a full-on market day where kids on that day had to man the stalls when they sold things. But the money needed to go, and they ended up at the school for half the kids. And for the other half of the kids, the money needed to end up with the kids or the families themselves. And by using our payment infrastructure and our QR code specifically on the day and our wallet-to-wallet transfer feature, they ended up running the full-on market day with all the acceptance on all the stores using Sticitt infrastructure. School didn't have any additional reporting complexities. Kids and parents didn't have any additional FICA and KYC and KYB requirements to figure out how they're now going to get a Yoko machine or get a Corca machine to handle payments on the day. It was just, again, a natural extension of using the payment infrastructure that they've already started using, and they had a full-on market day. So those are just two very cool use cases where often schools try and solve for them in the moment, but we try to say, you know what, the way that you start using D6 Pay with simplifying payments between the parents and the school, and how you then expand on that with the on-campus payment infrastructure and everything else that Sticitt also offers, you can get yourself to a point where those sort of use cases, sports day and market days, internal, external, it's how you run your school, and there are no additional complexities that you have to have. And I mean, yeah, so there's a lot more to this thing than just hey, it's just a payment in an app. And our dream is, that we can support all of the schools online today in being able to get the same benefit that a lot of our existing schools are already experiencing.
Yeah, imagine everyone can run that way.
Sure.
Cool. So we've got a number of questions. Question was, please advise with regards to the fees for pay or for cashless.
So
the entire environment.
Fees are the best part of the solution that we like to discuss with schools, because we don't just have one set fee structure, because we understand, Willem, you spoke about the amount of school fee collections that runs through the D6 Pay solution. We can't just go and charge a percentage on every transaction, because how will schools ever funnel school fees and larger projects through a commercial model like that? They can't just pass the feedback to the parents, and they can't just increase their school fees on an annual basis. So we knew we had to cater for that. So we've got a couple of different options on how schools can make use of the infrastructure. Our pricing, the different pricing options are available online as well. But for us, it was really important that the way that we go about solving this whole payment infrastructure problem is in a way that doesn't cost the school an arm and a leg, and that they can truly channel everything through the infrastructure to get ultimately the administration benefit and to give the convenience back to the parents. But have a look online, and that's where our school success team, you guys and us as well, is we would love to have a discussion around what model best suits the school with regards to what they would like to use the solution for as a starting point, and then how can we evolve them into a model that will serve them long term in the best way as well.
Cool. So I think that's how it is. It's not a one size fits all pricing. That it's this and it applies to everything. It's based on needs in terms of what you actually want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then according to that.
But it's very comparable. If you look at our first pricing tier, you can compare that to what PayFast will quote you, or what some of the other cashless competitors in the market will quote you. So it's like for like. It's not. Our pricing is not complex. But we like to make it very specific to the school, that it works with the school the best. Yeah,
and there's no more. I know was a question in the market regarding, do the parents still have a fee? There's no fees for the parents.
So do you? I'm not sure if there was maybe a question around that.
We might get there. Yeah. So the other one was fee percentage per transaction. How does the Sticitt pay out? So Sticitt pay out. So fee percentage. There is, based on their pricing tiers. One of the pricing tiers does have just a normal transactional fee, but that can be a discussion. There's also other tiers to make the school more effective in terms of facilitating large amount school fees, everything through Sticitt, that it reconciles back to finance. But what was the payout?
But I would like to. We can maybe put it. We can actually answer everyone in the audience straightforward. Is our first entry point across the board for any payment, whether it's in D6 Pay or whether it is on our terminals, whatever it is. We start at 3.45%, and our lowest pricing tier is 1.95%, and that encompasses everything. So from card to Capitec Pay to Absa Pay to Nedbank Pay to, we've got all the different payment options that any of the other payment providers in the market have got.
I mean, you know the competitive landscape, so
Yeah.
that's, I mean, you've taken that as sort of benchmark, and then
Yeah. So the 3.45 is very much aligned with sort of like just getting started with us without having any other fees, just a variable component. But then we get it all the way down to 1.95%, which is, I mean, obviously it's unheard of in the payment space with regards to what schools can get access to.
So can we do uniform sales? Yes, you can. And the Sticitt store or the shop is also set up that you can utilize the shop for that. A lot of the schools have already started sort of listing all the different clothing that's available and their pricing and quantities. And within the Sticitt store, we can link the Sticitt store in the D6 application, and parents can consume or can commercialize it. So it is possible. Payouts, I'll cover. Payouts is every Monday that Sticitt clears the account to the school or on request, and I think there's a 10 rand fee on payouts or something.
So standard processing is every single Monday. There's an automated payment run that runs through our settlement partners to all of our merchants. But a lot of our schools, you can log on at any point in time into your Sticitt merchant account and request a payout. And then for non-Mondays, there's a 10 rand administration fee for the settlement of
so if you transfer 100,000 rand, it's going to be 10 rand.
Yeah.
Transfer.
I mean, you get the money.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we communicate this with parents and the effectiveness of the cashless payment option?
That's an awesome one. So I'm going to talk on your hand here. So our school success team and our marketing team and D6's school support team. I'm going to throw in D6's marketing team here as well. But we love to help schools when they get going with D6 Pay or with our payment infrastructure. We do not leave it up to the school to figure out how to best communicate all of this to their parent audience. We help them with that. So we've gone through this game before. We know what should you start with? How do you communicate this with? What FAQs do you send? What videos do you send? What format do the parents actually enjoy? I mean, so we help the school and support them with that entire onboarding journey. We don't just send them to a file with a whole bunch of links and stuff that they can send out. We help them with it. So it's quite a high touch approach that we support them with to make sure we get the parents on board.
I just want to make sure we have, just for everyone on the call, we can see who asked what. So we can always get back to you after the session, in any case, personally, but we will engage. How quick is it for a parent to register with Sticitt Pay or D6 Pay, Sticitt? And how user-friendly is the app for parents who are not so tech-savvy?
Okay, very good question. When it comes to D6 Pay specifically, we make sure that if a school just wants to start off using D6 Pay, they're already doing communication in the application and now they just want to enable payments. We don't want to ask parents to go and register for wallets and sign up for new solutions. We just want to help them make a payment as quickly as possible, as fast as possible. Quickly and fast, probably the same thing, right? But they just need to make that payment with as little effort as possible, and that's exactly what we do. So within the D6 Pay environment, parents don't sign up for anything. They don't register for anything. They make a payment in the app, like they make a payment when you go and check out on Takealot, or when you go and pay something at Superbalist that you not mention earlier.
You select a card or EFT, fast, instant EFT or Capitec Pay. You don't even have to utilize the wallet.
No, not at all. So I mean, you showed an example of the wallet, but the parents can just pick card, whatever their preferred e-commerce payment option is, they can just select that and make the payment. But then as the school starts making use of more of our payment infrastructure, and as the parents want to make use of our 6 money habits when they give their kids money, they go through normal registration process, but I mean that registration process takes like 20 seconds. You verify cell phone and you verify email. And then in the platform, we've got different levels of how we KYC you depending on what features you enable. I mean, we've got a rewards feature that pays people 4.5% on their account balances, but that requires us from a regulatory point of view to do a bit more KYC to understand who we're dealing with. But to just register, very straightforward. And when it comes to the user experience, Willem, you made reference to this earlier, is everyone's going to tell you, hey, my user experience is really good. Okay, so that's going to be my first response. It's brilliant. It's very easy to use. But I mean, everyone's going to say that.
The eye of the beholder.
Yeah. For us, the biggest thing is if we deploy technology in a way that our users can't use it and it's confusing, then we're never going to have the impact in terms of getting to the kids that we want. So that is I don't often use the word obsession, it's quite an intense word, but that is like what our team really obsesses about, is to how do we change the user experience, how do we change the buttons, how do we change how these things flow so that parents can get access to the benefits we provide with as little mental and physical effort that they need to, as little mental effort as they need to just make use of the product.
Okay, cool. So there's another question. Please show us practically how it works in conjunction with the finance module. That is quite a, I think we'll get in touch to demo how it works within our finance module, because there's a lot of touch points between finance and payments. The one is facilitating school fees. If you bill, the parents will get a notification in their application to say you need to pay for, I don't know, August school fees, and you can pay. It reconciles back into your debtors account. You can also run projects to say the grade 3s are going on an outing, they need to pay 10 Rand. We know who the grade 3s are because you utilize the finance module, and which is linked to the admin module. So I think the answer is a bit more broader than just a quick one here. We'll reach out to provide a bit of just to show and tell how it works. How do you download the app? Just go into the App Store, type in D6 Communicator, and it'll be there, whether it's Huawei, Android, or iOS. Where online can I find the different costs for the modules? That's for you.
If you go to, I'm gonna hope our marketing person gives me the link, but if you go onto the Sticitt website, I'm not sure, it might be on the D6 website as well, but if you go onto Sticitt for schools, there'll be an area where you can click on the pricing. It gives you a bit more context on all of the pricing.
Then there's a question, is Sticitt better than Carry? I'm going to take that. I'm not going to answer that. The obvious one from my side would be yes, obviously it is. I think Carry has done incredibly well in the market. I think their area of focus versus the area of focus from a Sticitt perspective is different in terms of what the companies focus on. I think there's a lot of benefit from working with D6 for the integration side. So there's a lot of similarities, but again, we would rather come and discuss that as opposed to either saying why we're better or why someone else is not as good on public forum. So let's rather have that discussion in person.
But if I can maybe just give my 2 cents on that, they've done amazing work to drive a lot of awareness around, listen, we should stop using cash as a form of payment. And it goes to my point that I made earlier is, I think the game has moved on really, to be honest, from that. And on the D6 side, is our question, as it's always been, is does the payments help you communicate more effectively with your parent audience? Because if it doesn't, then you're missing out. If it does,
maybe not necessarily how does it communicate more effectively. So how does it ensure that your parent audience is involved?
Yeah.
Because parent involvement is for us critical. Whether it's through payments or communication or whatever the case might be, we want to ensure that parents are involved, and payments is a core element to that.
So so that's on the one, and on the other side is just, from a Sticitt point of view, is we're very clear on what our philosophy is of how we want to help parents help the kids. It's as simple as that. So I think the collaboration of the two of us makes a really compelling narrative for schools to work with. But Carrie's done a good job to move the game forward, to get schools to understand, stop using cash at least. So that helps on that front, which is awesome.
Definitely. Where do we activate the pay button? So we'll reach out to come and showcase, because obviously if a school would like to start using payments within this environment, the school will need to register as a merchant, because there will be money flowing from the parent to the school. So in any environment, the school will have to register as a merchant. And that onboarding process, we will then facilitate in partnership with Sticitt with the school, but then also ensuring that the parent audience is appropriately onboarded. And then the last one, do you have a how-to that we can send to our parents?
We have a lot of how-tos, but we would talk to you before we tell you what how-to to send to the parents.
Yeah. So we'll engage. I think our customer success teams will reach out to ensure that we're very focused on driving activations, and activations in our world is to ensure that the payment side is effectively activated within the school's environment to get parents on board. So that's something which both of our customer success teams have quite a core focus on. So we'll reach out.
Willem, I know we've got a lot of bursars and financially inclined individuals on the call. And the one thing we didn't actually cover, which I think is extremely important, is whenever any payment that's facilitated through the Sticitt infrastructure, whether it was a project that was paid in D6 Pay, or whether it was paid through our open loop terminal at a sporting event, or whether it was paid at the tuck shop through one of our partner integrations like WebiShop. What we do for the schools as finance office is we make sure that when we settle them an amount into their bank account on the Monday morning, they say the amount was 55,000 Rand, we will give them an importable file into whatever finance system they use that shows exactly how do you go and allocate that 55,000 to either project level control accounts, if you want to report on it on a control account level, or if you want to report even deeper on a debtor account level. And that was for us also important because a lot of these, you have other payment providers that, hey, you can go and export your payment, your transactions, and then you need to go and do VLOOKUPs and make sense of the export versus what was settled to you. But we take care of that whole reconciliation process for the school, whether they want to report on a project level or on a debtor level. We understand the complexity of the finance office trying to figure out what to do with bank statement information.
And
family codes and those sort of things. So, I mean, that's a very important thing. Whatever you add on from a payment infrastructure in our world, you get the benefit as the finance office and as the bursar to streamline that entire reconciliation process without having to do manual exports and VLOOKUPs and pivot tables and all of those lovely things. We take care of it.
Cool. There was just one last question, but I think we've covered it. How do we get parents current and new on board with cashless payments? So our customer success teams will work with you from a school perspective to ensure that we strategize around the communication strategy in order to get the parents effectively on board, because it's a big focus for us. Cool.
Okay. Sorry, Donata.
Are there any final questions before we move on? Okay, doesn't look as everything's coming in. Yes.
But one last thing before we end up, and just to put our money where our mouth is, we have got a giveaway. Our team has put together a money habits that stick book. And the idea here is that we want to give a bit more context to parents of what is the philosophy behind what we're trying to do here. So for the rest of August, we will share information with all the schools online that you can send a free download code to all of your parents that they can get access to this resource, and it'll get your parent audience a lot more deliberate and aware on how can they go about teaching their kids healthy money habits, even if they don't even necessarily have Sticitt or they work with D6 Pay, but anyone can use this book. Obviously with us, it's a lot easier if they do make use of the solution. But this is the really important thing that we want to get out to parents. So until the end of August, everyone will get a code that they can send a free copy to their parents. And it's also in any case available on Kindle for anyone else that wants to go and have just a quick squiz. But information will follow on that.
Last one was, can we send reminders for unpaid projects or activities? Yes, we can. And again, customer success will reach out to show you exactly how that works. Something that I want to mention, maybe just before we close and just final thoughts, is our current schools utilizing our integrated admin and finance modules and communication integrated modules. We are working hard to move our communication platform to the new communication platform from a backend perspective, because I know that our current integrated customers are still using the old communication button in the system. So we'll keep you guys up to date, but we're working hard to move all our integrated schools to the new nice and shiny backend for just better capability in driving effective communication to parents. Okay. Okay, then lastly, this is closed for this webinar. We do have 2 other webinars coming up, which is very exciting. One is we listened, and we went back and decided how can we solve the problem that our schools have mentioned. And two of the core issues was, which D6 Pay and Sticitt also facilitates to a large part, is struggling to manage your debtors more effectively. That was the one big issue that bursars face. Most accounting packages do the billing well, and our finance module, it does the billing well, and it gives you good insights in terms of your debtors' health, in terms of debtors aging and who hasn't paid and I don't know, any outstanding balances. But then there's also the whole handover process, where you hand over bad debts, where parents have prolonged their payments and have not paid, and eventually you hand them over to a debt collector, potentially. But then there's this middle fuzzy area where it's either between 6 and 12 months where you need to effectively communicate and drive effective debt collection. So, and very few software providers actually facilitates this, and very few accounting packages facilitates the debt management platform. And we've developed over the last 8 months a debt management platform to support schools to manage their debtors more effectively, because collection of outstanding school fees is a major component of financial sustainability for schools. So we're very excited to launch the debt management platform, which is called Fees. So it's financial ease, or finance with ease. So that's the platform called. And we've also launched a sponsorship management platform. And that was the other thing which the bursars said. One was, how do I manage my debtors more effectively? And the other one was, how do I collect or generate additional funding? And I think there was actually a question of, can we support in funding? On the payment side, yes, we can, because one can send funding requests or one can drive funding initiatives whereby parents can pay via the platform. But we've also launched a specific sponsorship management platform called Altivo, with the intent of supporting schools to manage their advertising real estate more effectively. Schools have a massive amount of real estate on campus, whether it's around the sport fields or clothing or nieuwsbriefies. There's, I think, about 15 different categories that we've identified in terms of where schools can more effectively manage their sponsorships and advertising in a more effective way. So that was the ask from a school perspective, and we went back. Also, over the last 8-9 months, we've developed a sponsorship management platform to support schools to manage their advertising real estate more effectively. And then we can also help schools to sell it, because you have all of these assets, but you don't have a team to go and sell it, and schools are not necessarily people to sell it. So we can support the schools in both platform, but also to sell their advertising assets in the community that they service. So those are the two webinars, 12 and 13 August and 27 and 28th of August. And then we've got a roundtable discussion, Durban on the 18th of September, Centurion 21st of October, and Durbanville, Welland on the 30th of October 2025. So those are the important dates for roundtable events for D6, but that will be communicated by our team in any case to all schools.